Amazfit T Rex versus the Amazfit GTR.
The Amazfit T Rex was one of the most anticipated smartwatches of CES earlier this year.
And the GTR was released in July 2019, and we want to see if a development gap of around 6 months actually brings anything to the table that's new in the T Rex. On top of that, we are going in deep on our fitness tracking.
He dances around while I jog.
We aren't just sticking to the heart rate monitor.
Should I tell them the results?
We are also looking at sleep tracking. We are looking at step count and water resistance in our famous water test. And if that is not enough for everybody, we have also put the two watches to the test with Android and iOS to see what major differences there are between the two.
Let us know in the comments below which operating system you are using with your smartwatch. Let's have a brief look at the specifications for both watches. We know there is a design difference between the Amazfit T Rex and the Amazfit GTR. Dimensions are pretty much the same. Both come in at 47-ish millimeter. When it comes to the screen, it's almost identical really. When you look at the resolution, it is a slightly higher resolution for the GTR, slightly brighter, but I couldn't see any difference outside. In fact, I like the display for the T-Rex a little bit better, and the weight really, you don't really feel a difference of 18 grams. The T-Rex is obviously a bit more bulky and the GTR is slightly more elegant and slimmer. Water resistant, both are up to 50 meters. We will check that shortly. And then you have the sport modes, the fitness sport modes. The GTR comes in at 12, the T-Rex at 14. Then the battery is almost identical, right? If you look at that, pretty much the same. We will check the battery life later also. And then you have for the GTR a 6-axis acceleration sensor and a 3-axis acceleration sensor. I was doing some research and I'm unable to confirm if this is like a 3-axis digital accelerometer and a 3-axis digital gyroscope, but that's what it usually means when you have 6 axes. I guess it makes it more accurate overall. When you look at the price, I've chosen the titanium version. When you have the normal version for the GTR, price-wise it comes in at $145 and $140 for the T-Rex, so almost identical.
Before we move on and look at the menu systems on the two watches, the GTR and the T-Rex, we are doing our famous water test, and you may be able to hear it. We're here at the largest river in Munich and we're ready to put them into the test. Both watches made it out of the Isar in one piece, fully functioning. I will say though, neither of them have a speaker, so it makes it a little bit easier.
What are the differences for both watches when it comes to the menu system? On the left hand side you will see the Amazfit T Rex, right hand side you will see Amazfit GTR. In order to get to your quick guide set menu, you swipe top down for both watches. So far so good. In order to get to your main applications, the T Rex you swipe from right to the left and the GTR you swipe bottom up. So you can see already that there are different icons and a bit of a different layout. Essentially, both watches have the same applications installed. Apart from the GTR, you will see an application that is called PAI, and that stands for Personal Activity Intelligence. And the idea is to maintain a score of 100 PAI throughout rolling 7 days. Apparently, studies have shown that you will have a lower risk of hypertension, heart disease and type 2 diabetes should you achieve that. However, you will see the same application in the Amazfit app for the T Rex. So the only difference here is that you have that application installed on the GTR while you have that on the in the Amazfit app for the T Rex. In order to access your heart rate for the T Rex, you basically swipe bottom up, and for the GTR you swipe left or right, and you will see your activities, your step count and your heart rate. Basically pretty much the same layout, different swiping actions. To access your sport modes, you basically press a button for both watches. Just difference is that you press the select top button on the T Rex while you press the bottom right button for the GTR, and you will see all your sport modes in one menu system. Both watches are really limited when it comes to social media or notifications. Basically, it's pretty much the same. You can only receive an SMS or text message, and then it will display the message, but you cannot reply.
And I have two options. I can either hang up or I can ignore. Hello, it didn't work. It only works on the phone.
You can also receive a phone call, but you cannot answer the call because you don't have a speaker or microphone. You basically can ignore or accept the call on your phone. In terms of the Amazfit application running on Android and running on iOS, it is pretty much the same. There is like really slight differences in the layout, but that's pretty much it. There's one quirky thing I noticed, and that is you have an additional option in the Amazfit app for the iOS system, and that is an incoming email.
We've already seen some differences with the sleep tracking, so now it's time for me to go jogging on our 500-meter course and see how the T Rex handles the GTR and how they go head to head on distance, calories, and of course the most important, the heart rate. And after I've been, guess who's going next?
Let's go.
I have the T Rex ready, and it is my 500 meters. I'd love to say 500 kilometers, but it's my 500 meters with the T Rex.
You are burning fat.
I'm burning fat. I'm a fat burner. It was more of a shuffle than a run this morning, but the Polar Beat has me at
Improving fitness.
I'm improving fitness. If you wonder why we are out and about during the current time, it is because in Germany we are allowed to go out and exercise. We're not allowed to hang around, but we're allowed to be free in the woods and exercise. It's Amazfit GTR time. I have it on the same wrist that I had the T Rex. I'm running exactly the same course, 500 meters, and then I am finished for the day. Polar Beat says 166 beats per hour.
Should I tell them the results? Do you see a difference between the T Rex and the GTR so far?
I absolutely actually do. I obviously can't comment on the accuracy yet. That will come later when we check on the app versus the Polar Beat. But when you are using the watches, the T Rex is way more fluid. It's easier to start up a workout. It's easier to stop the workout, and you actually know you're saving the workout.
Guys, you know the drill. Left hand side you will see distance, calories and heartbeat. On top you will see Tony and myself, and then you will see the Amazfit T Rex Polar Beat, Amazfit GTR Polar Beat. Below that you will see the results, and you really have to make your mind up for yourself today, because it has slightly different results apart from one, and that is the T Rex and the heartbeat. Again, we've seen it in other videos, and the T Rex is not far off, if not the same. 147 for me, 148 for the Polar Beat, 144 for Tony, 145 for the Polar Beat, and that is really, really accurate. We are going in all deep this time and look at every single possible data set available. On the left hand side you will see the Amazfit T Rex, on the right hand side you will see the Amazfit GTR, on top you will see the syncing data. I made sure that I sync the data as much as possible. You can already see there is a difference of 300 step counts, and it doesn't stop here. Going in further in the data set, on the left hand side on the T Rex you see today's activity, it only recorded 5, and then on the right hand side you see the GTR's activity recorded 10. So there is a big gap. But guys, it doesn't stop here, because when I went up for dinner and there's literally a time difference of 5 minutes and 10 steps, I had a look at the data set again just to make sure, and suddenly the Amazfit T Rex went up with the step count by 300 almost. So I went in further again to see the activity. Today's activity is 6 for the T Rex and still 10 for the GTR, and it almost feels like both watches are talking to each other. But probably the more logical explanation is that the T Rex, the Amazfit T Rex, just needs a bit longer to sync the data.
Sleep tracking was super interesting on the two watches. Both watches had me at around 8 hours on the first night. They also had around 40 minutes to an hour's worth of deep sleep, so not much difference, but we wanted to know how they can track and how that difference, how do we know which watch is actually the better watch for accuracy. So on the second night, I actually documented what I slept, and both watches again had me at over 8 hours sleep. sleep. They both had deep sleep of around 2 hours. But when I looked at my notes, I had actually only slept around 5 hours in total. I can read to you. I fell asleep at 1 a.m. I was awake 6 times in the night. I was awake for half an hour one of those times, and I woke up at 6:30 in the morning. So the watches are actually tracking how I am laying still. They aren't tracking how I am sleeping. They are tracking the heart rate and movement. Neither of those actually show an accurate sleep pattern. Take the sleep tracking data with a pinch of salt. Jens and I love the T Rex.